Chapter 7. Where there's smoke, there's fire. No, that's impossible. Hector dropped his toothbrush and backed away from the blue flame. It continued flickering in the depths of the reflective glass, casting eerie sapphire shadows across the bathroom's walls. The only answer was a creepy cackle echoing out of the mirror. Hector held his breath. Now he wasn't just seeing strange things, he was hearing them too. Who are you? Hector stammered, chills erupting all over his body. What do you want? The blue flame drew closer, revealing the outline of a figure with spiky flaming hair. Hector blinked, but the blue flame was gone. The bathroom was quiet, almost too quiet. Hector leaned closer to the mirror, searching for the blue flame. He leaned in closer, closer. Knock, knock, knock. The sharp rapping on the door made Hector almost jump out of his skin. Hey, Wonder Boy, did you fall into the toilet or something? It was just Luca. Hector relaxed slightly. Yeah, you're not the only one that has to, go, Juan added loudly. No, me first, Luca said. I knocked on the door. I got dibs. Hector could hear the sounds of them shoving each other outside the door. He shook his head to clear it, then worked to steady his breathing. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Blue flames didn't just appear in a mirror or on statues in the park, and mirrors couldn't talk either. Clearly, his eyes and ears were playing tricks on him. It was just the stress of losing the preliminary race, with the real race for the cup only a week away, he reassured himself. Feeling slightly better, he unlocked the bathroom door, letting his brothers shove their way past him, and headed off to bed. He collapsed, tiredness settling over his whole body like an iron weight. The next day, Phil trained Hector hard at the field. Remember, it's your dream to win this race, he lectured, putting him through the practice course and becoming more agitated every time Hector fell short of his best times. The pressure was clearly getting to them both. Dreams are for rookies, Hector muttered under his breath, repeating what May had said as he tackled the next obstacle, a rope climb that made his arms ache and quiver by the time he got to the top. He leapt to the ground, then ran for the hurdles that came next. But his foot clipped one, taking it down and making his shin throb. What is wrong with me today? His heart just wasn't in it. The loss in the preliminary race had affected him more than he realized. He hadn't slept well either. He felt sluggish, not like his usual self. The school bell rang, and a few minutes later, May took the field. She gave him a shy wave, then started limbering up under her father's careful watch. Almost as soon as she arrived, she tackled the field with a verve and grace that Hector had never witnessed before. If she'd been good in training last week, this week she was better. It was like she was peaking, and at just the right time. Unlike Hector, who was dragging in his training, and his times reflected it. Despite their budding friendship, she was definitely his stiffest competition for the Zeus Cup. Hey, don't get distracted, Phil yelled, spotting him watching May. Sorry, Hector panted, trying to catch his breath. Phil came over to him, clutching his stopwatch and clipboard. Look, you can't be her friend, remember? We talked about this. She's not trustworthy, Phil said, softening slightly. Remember what happened in the preliminary race? She played dirty once. She could easily do it again to win. It's not her fault, Hector argued. She's not like that, really. She's just under a lot of pressure from her dad. I know what I saw, Phil said, remaining skeptical. He narrowed his eyes at May as she did a parkour move over the hurdles. Plus, that girl could beat you, even if she doesn't cheat. Yeah, I know, Hector said, feeling nauseated. His brother was right. What's gotten into you today? Phil asked. Your times are all over the place. I'm just tired, I guess, Hector managed. Maybe it's the stress getting to me, and well, they both turned to watch May as she climbed the same rope that Hector had struggled on like it was nothing, then leapt down and aced the hurdles. Phil patted Hector's shoulder and lowered his voice. You're a faster runner and stronger than her, Phil said, but she's lighter and nimbler. She can climb the obstacles faster, and she's willing to play dirty. Sheesh, tell me something I don't know, Hector said, feeling even worse. Look, Mom and Dad told me not to say anything, Phil said, but the shop is struggling. We're doing everything we can to keep it afloat, but the new Mega Mart one town over has taken a lot of our best customers. It's not as easy for small businesses these days. Hector's face fell. Phil noticed it. You can beat her, Wonder Boy. I know you can, Phil said, but you have to stay focused, got it? And that means the two of you can't be friends. Hector nodded, playing along like he agreed with his brother, but the truth was starting to sink in. His life really wasn't his own. That night, Hector had a terrible nightmare where the shadows on his wall formed images of losing the Zeus Cup to May. She raced past him, crossing the finish line to cheering crowds and applause. The shadowy figures then showed May holding the Zeus Cup, hoisting it over her head, while Hector looked on in defeat, his shoulders sagging. The crowd lifted May onto their shoulders, parading her around. No! Hector woke up in a sweaty panic, gasping for breath. He was still in his bed. His heart thumped wildly. It was only a bad dream, he whispered to himself. It wasn't real. You're just stressed out. Then something moved in the corner of his vision. He snapped his head around to look at the wall. The shadow figures were still there. No, that's not possible. Before his eyes, the shadows transformed into two hideous monsters. They loomed over him, their claws stretched out toward him. They aimed their claws at his neck, and then they cackled.